Hello, and welcome to this build workshop of my Naboo N1 Starfighter. In this workshop we're going to be covering the Corvette building stage, and then the decoration stage. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel and you'll get to see lots more of it. Feel free to leave a comment of ships you'd like to see me build. With all formalities aside, let's get into the workshop. So to start the ship off, we're going to do the usual of dropping down a landing gear, and we're using the floating landing gear this time. I've decided to start using this a bit more because it does kind of help just make the ship look a little more streamlined. There is also the actual new folding landing gear as well, which is quite a good option. So first off, we're going to kind of work out that front shape. I really wanted to keep this build small and close to the original size of the ship. It's definitely bigger, just to be clear. It's a lot bigger than the real ship, maybe twice the size. But I think it's probably one of the smaller ones that I've seen made. So that was my main goal, is to make it literally as small as possible. And to achieve that, we do have to do some level of that cockpit being basically useless for first person, and this is common in a lot of my builds. It's just I prefer to go with like the aesthetics over the functionality usually. I know a lot of people probably would prefer to actually have the cockpit in a more useful position, but in this case where I'm trying to go as absolutely small as possible, I think it's kind of important to hide that into the ship. So now we're just working out the wings, and the kind of aerodynamics, this doesn't really work. As you can see, it's basically like a backwards wing, but the reason I do this is because of the color palette. So the back of the wing is far shorter in terms of like the yellow color on the N1, and I'd rather get that color palette correct. Also, the silhouette of this ship is very correct as well. Like if you kind of go into the photo mode and get like a picture of the sun behind it, the silhouette is like almost exact to the N1. So those are like the kind of main things I wanted to get down, and everything else kind of has to take a sideline. It's less important to me. I'm purely like trying to make an aesthetic build here. So now we're just going to try and build out the kind of body area. So there's kind of two parts to the ship. You have like the wings at the front, and then there's like a kind of body line that runs from the start of the front of the wings and runs underneath, and then like kind of curves up a little bit at the back, and then it comes in, and then it goes into the spike. And I really wanted to nail that shape down. I think that's one of the most important things about this ship is sort of getting that exact feel to that shape. So I'm just going to make the front of the body part now, and we're going to use the curved piece. I can't remember what it's called. The speed dome, is that? I'm watching this in fast forward as well, so it's a little hard to see what the pieces actually say. But I'm sure, you know, if you're a familiar Corvette builder, you will know exactly what these pieces are. And if you're not, you know, just pause the video and like you can see the actual piece that I use if you pause the video. So now I'm just getting the color palette down, and I start off with one of the Corvette builder colors. But I eventually actually switched this over to using a kind of relatively new glitch that lets you, well, it's not a new glitch, it's just a new technique, I guess, that lets you use the decoration pieces to then recolor your actual ship with the decoration piece color instead. And this means that you can really sort of nail down you have a wider color palette basically for your entire ship, and they're usually a little bit more vibrant with the decoration pieces, so that's another benefit. I'm just now working out the cockpit. This is something that I come back to a few times So this won't be the final design. I wanted to, so right now the ship nose is far too long, and we eventually move this cockpit forward. And this also means that you basically can't access the real cockpit, the actual one that you use to fly the ship. You can't access that from the landing, the loading ramp, and so the way that you access it in the final ship is actually from the top, and it's just basically the cockpit has no back hab attached to the back of it, and that allows you to kind of get in through a little port that I made in the top. This does also mean that you have to make sure that before you go and fly this ship, you watch just the start of the decoration piece section, because there is a very important addition that you need to add to this ship before you get into your cockpit. If you don't do this, you won't get stuck in your cockpit, but you will be sort of forced to place down a decoration, what's the word, chair, and then you can get out. But in the actual decoration section, I cover the correct chair to use and the color to set it and everything that you actually want to make this work, basically. So now I'm just working out how to get into that cockpit, as I say, because you are blocked effectively from the cargo ramp, and it's I'm noticing that we need to basically get in from that angle, and so now we're just kind of building out the back of the ship, and I do initially try to build this mostly in like the ship builder. But as I say, we do go on to decoration, and in the decoration phase, we much more focus on getting the really nailed down shape of the ship, like the pointing rear, the pointing bits coming out of the nacelles. I always use the decoration to just get that final touch to the ship. I use the loading ramp there, but it's unfunctional. But what I'm using it for is basically there is like a nice little curved section. So you have the kind of main body of the ship, and that goes back. And I sort of described this a bit earlier. And then it like kind of curves up in a sharp angle to the point at the rear of the ship. And that loading ramp basically perfectly nails that look. Absolutely perfectly. It just, from every angle, it basically looks correct. So that's why I've gone and put one in, despite it actually being not actually used. So what you just saw as well is I'm trying to like hide away the fact that you get in from the top. These pieces are actually a little too, they stop you from getting down into your cockpit right now. So I don't end up actually using those two pieces, but I would have loved if that was actually what I was able to use, because I think they really kind of give that cleaner look to the top. But we do a decent job. Anyway, onto the nacelles. So this is where I'm putting the reactors. You can put any of the like 1 hab size reactors here. Don't feel like you need to replicate mine exactly. There is one nice thing about this reactor, though. It has those blue strips on it, and I find that those blue lights kind of replicate the look of the exhaust of the engine a little bit, and it just makes the engine look a bit more alive. I'm not sure if you get the same effect with the other ones. Probably not. I haven't actually tried it, so if you want to try another reactor, then you can, and it might look better potentially. I don't know. So now we're just working on the nacelles, and I realized that all of this needs to go down by a half a hab. So including the reactor needs to sit at the same height as the wings. At half a hab lower than the wings, basically. And this basically makes it in line with the actual point of the wing rather than the height of the wing. And that's the much more important thing, I think. Otherwise, the nacelles are really high up and they just don't look right. So I'm just lowering everything down now. As you can see, we're just using the standard kind of offset techniques. If you aren't familiar with these, there are lots of videos of like how to do glitch offsetting with HABs available. Or you can just kind of watch what I do and kind of learn from that. It's not the hardest technique, honestly. It's more, the harder part about it is trying to work out in your head where your HAB is about to end up and how you want to manipulate it. So you can place this piece that lets you rotate around itself, that one that I just deleted there, and this kind of allows you to either place it to the side and half a HAB down, or up and half a HAB backwards or forwards. So there is multiple positions for this thing, and then you can use the rock hopper piece rotated once, and it has like little you see this is it here, it has like a half HAB connection point on it. Anyway, you've just seen me move the engines in half a HAB as well. So this I was finding that they look too wide compared to the wings, so we just moved everything in by half a HAB, and that is the correct proportions now of the ship. I think that looks a lot better. I'm just now, I kind of sometimes take a little pause to kind of reflect on what it's looking like. And I realized that I'm kind of missing a curve along this side edge here. I don't know if I actually fix this right now, but you can see my kind of intent is to add like a curve to between the HABs, which are very straight right up angles, and then that nice shallower curve below. So I end up using, I think they're like a fin kind of thing. I'm not actually sure what they're called again. I really need to learn the names of these pieces, considering how much I use them. I don't know any of their names really off by heart, which is kind of crazy. But I'm very much like a visual person. I don't go on words very much at all. I tend to reference things by their shapes and the visual look of them instead. You see, I didn't even know that was called the ducting outlet. That's quite funny. Anyway, so now we're going to do the front of the engines. And my kind of goal here is to make like a kind of tapered, almost like a bullet shape at the front, which is what it is on the real ship. And to do this, I'm going to mash multiple of these covers together to make that shape. So we start off, I don't know if this is the one that I end up using 100%, but this is like, you can kind of see what I'm trying to attempt here is like to have that start of the bullet shape, and then I'll add another one that adds the point, and the point will be made out of like the 45-degree sharper kind of pointy one. You see what I mean? I'm just describing things by their looks, literally. Yeah, I don't know what it's called at the moment, but we'll see anyway in the build. So yeah, we'll just keep watching. So I'm just trying to lengthen out the engine now, and it would have been nice to have to be able to keep the exhaust of the real engine, but it's aesthetically it wasn't correct. So I would rather have this as like a point at the back. I think this is what I'm about to do now, is add that point, and we use the Super Cruise aerofoil, and this is the final piece that I actually use here. And this it's close to the point that I want, but in the decoration stage, I go much further into this and give it an extra point at the back just to really exaggerate that shape and make it much closer to the original design. Those are yellow at the back as well, which is interesting because the engine exhaust goes straight onto this yellow paint, and I can't imagine how in universe they make that last. Maybe this is very durable, heat resistant paint. But yeah, I would have imagined really that they would have made the rear of the engine chrome, But visually, it's better as yellow, honestly. You can also do an inverted version of this ship with the colors, and it still looks quite cool. Or you can convert this to the Mandalorian's N1. It again looks quite good. You just basically make everything chrome, or I think it's metallic in actual No Man's Sky, but it's basically like a dull chrome. So now we're just making the point part of the bullet, and to do that, we're going to use I think I've already said this, that we're actually going to really use the 45-degree one. I would have loved to have used this one, but I didn't realize that when you place it down, it kind of makes an oval at the front rather than a point. So yeah, it doesn't look right. You can kind of see that that's just not how it should look, really. It's not bad, honestly. So if you do like how those look, you can go ahead and use them. But I think personally it looks a bit like a duck. And it just kind of ruins the ship a little bit for me. But you know, it's all personal opinion. If you like them, then you like them, that's fine. So instead, yes, we end up using one of those 45-degree aerofoils, because they are much more pointy, I believe. I believe that's what we use. We don't use that one though, because that one's too pointy. So you don't want too pointy, you want just pointy enough. And I'm going to place down the 45-degree one, not 45, the 1 hab long one, but that one's wrong. And then there's this one that is half a hab high, a hab high, and then half a hab in width, which is confusing because habs are they're not square, obviously, so it's a little bit confusing how I mentioned that, but like, yeah, that's how you want it to look. Anyway, you can see what they are, and that kind of adds this more. In terms of the shape, it's not as accurate. I would prefer more of a kind of curved version. Oh wait, do we actually use this instead? It looks like I'm experimenting with another shape here. I actually forgot. Maybe I did this instead. Huh. Okay, well, I like that more, I think. It looks more curved. So anyway, there we go. I guess I'm using that one instead, and we'll be putting that on the opposite side now as well. Sorry, I built this couple of days ago, so it's not as fresh anymore. But I have it kind of fresh in my mind anyway. So now we're going to move on to the rear of the ship. This is probably the hardest part. I really wanted this to be more pointy, and again, if someone is watching this from Hello Games, please, please add a pointy piece for the front of ships. And the rear of ships. We need something that's really pointy and kind of tapers down into like a proper point. These pieces just, along with the problem that we have to offset them by half a hab to place them down in the correct position, which is, I don't know if you guys at Hello Games intended this, but it's obviously a glitch build technique, and there is currently no way to actually place just a pointy piece down that can go at the front of, and rear of a ship without glitching, which just seems a bit not great, you know. I understand that like there is the issue with like snapping, and you kind of need to if you were to use the same pieces again like these, you'd have to have like half hab snap locations to them. So personally, I think I would prefer a piece that just connects to the front or rear of a hab that is just in a pointed shape already. And that would help build us so much, honestly. We need pieces like this to really exaggerate our builds. You can also see that I have an issue with the fact that the top is like a black, or I guess it's technically the bottom of this piece, but there's nothing that I can do really in the Corvette builder stage. It just doesn't work in the Corvette builder stage. Like I can't cover that up in any way. I tried to cover it a little bit with one of those. What did I call it? It was like the vented inlet or something, but it just it's an awkward shape already, that one, so it doesn't taper down the back of the ship enough. And anyone who saw the preview of my ship on my posts, you would see that I tried to kind of extend those out the back, but I didn't like how it kind of curved the back rather than gave it that point. So I went back and deleted those pieces before I went and made the final version, basically. And so now I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that the nose is just... Oh, we might actually try and place down the weapons first, potentially. But I am also looking at this right now. I'm seeing that the nose is too long. It just is too... sorry, not the nose. The body of the ship is too long. And I think this needs to be shortened by half a hab, roughly. But right now we're trying to place the weapons down. And we actually get these in exactly the right spot. I'm so happy with this weapon placement. It's exactly where it is on the ship, on the real ship, and it just looks excellent with the weapons firing out the front. Brilliant. Very happy with that. So now we're just building out a kind of support structure. There is a theory that I had like a couple of days ago where I might actually start building these support structures off to the side of the ship, and they'll basically be in all of the positions that I need for the pieces on the ship, and then I'll just grab habs and pull them over to where I want the piece to go, and I think that would actually help a lot with the building of ships. It having that template there ready, well, not template, but like structure there ready, rather than me having to like mess around with it already like glitched into things, it really helps a lot. So I'll probably be doing that in my next builds, is building a little template off to the side that lets me build from that onto the ship. So now we're just so we place down the weapons, and as you can see where they are, that it's literally exactly where on the ship. As I say, I'm very happy with that. And we're just now, I think I'm considering either the sides. Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm looking at the sides. So I use the streamline trim, and we're going to offset that down by half a hab, so it's in line with the habs. So yeah, we go and place that in a second. So it needs to be on the I don't know how to describe this. Like there's the central hab grid, which is the one that's centered on the grid, and there's the one that's like half offset from the grid, and then you get the middle of the ship ends up being the two habs either side, as you can see here. And so I've just used a little glitch there to place those. Rather than trying to place a hab down at the bottom, I've placed them on the bottom of the hab, and they have this auto rotation feature that actually places them in the correct spot once you delete that parent hab. I just realized I've accidentally placed a hab in there. So yeah, we're now replicating that feature over to the opposite side, and so we'll just duplicate that, and we'll put some habs as our base underneath, and we'll drop those on. And there's our kind of that really helps with that curving in of the shape. But I now realize still that the body is too long. These shapes look great, but they are just too elongated for the real ship. If you wanted a more elongated shape, you can go ahead and do this, but personally I prefer a slightly stubbier look to the ship. I think it looks better, especially with the pieces that I add in the decoration stage later. I think it really gives it the correct look then. So now we're going to probably shorten the ship by half a hab. I think that's what I'm doing right now. And oh yes, there we go. Yeah, so we're placing the cockpit half a hab further forward. Sadly, this does mean that I can't use this more streamlined look for the cockpit. And when I say the cockpit, I mean the decoration cockpit, not the actual real cockpit. So I would have liked to have used these pieces, but they get in the way of entering the real cockpit, which is a little frustrating, but we didn't really have much of an option there. You start coming into, again, issues with placing pieces, like you see, actually that piece placed fine, but there's an issue. Starts to be an issue where you can't place pieces on the side of things anymore, or like mirrored pieces as you get further into these glitch builds. And I think it's because there's so many attachment points created by those pieces that auto rotate that they kind of stop any other piece from going in that position. Anyway, we're now moving forward the underside of the ship very slightly. So that is half a hab forward, just like everything else. And that kind of stubbies up that body section of the ship. I'm now considering how to make like a R2 or droid top piece. And I initially thought maybe a dome would look good, or one of the shield pieces, I think it was. But it ends up not really working out correctly. It's just not the correct look that I wanted to go with. It ends up slightly too low, or either sorry, not a shield dome. It's a cargo sphere. Sorry. It either ends up too high or too low, basically, and there's no perfect in between. And you could probably use some other glitching techniques to do it, but I like to keep my glitches without needing too many like crazy glitches going on, because I think it makes this ship far more buildable for the average person than when you kind of go ahead and make absolutely bonkers edits to it with, like, I think you can use like windows to position stuff crazily, and yeah, it's a bit wild. So instead we're going to go ahead with the cargo link, and this creates the sort of hole where the astromech would go in. So we're going to place that sort of half a hab back from the piece that we have on top already, the inlet vent or outlet vent or whatever it's called, and this kind of gives us that correct shape then. And it goes just behind the cockpit. Well, you'll see on the actual ship build anyway. So I'm placing all of those down underneath, and we again using that same little offset technique to kind of place things. But you can see, there we go, we have an issue with now placing things on the bottom there. And I think it's because I actually have a piece there and I didn't realize it's glitched inside. But yeah, we go ahead anyway, and we'll figure that out later. So I'm just going to make a couple more kind of scaffolding pieces here, just to give myself some ability to place things down. It's funny, if I'd deleted that hab, I probably would have been able to see what was actually causing the issue. But yeah, there we go. There's the issue. You can see there's one of those pieces underneath it there. So we're going to place the docking ring in front of that. And so the way I do that is I've going to use the underneath technique again, where I've placed it underneath the hab, and then it automatically flips over when we delete that hab. And we're getting pretty close now to the kind of final look of the build, at least in the standard version. I think I'm going to move the rear tail piece a little bit further forward, because I don't like how that looks at the back there. The taper isn't quite right. Oh, maybe we do this actually. I can't actually remember what I did. I think that's actually what we did. Yeah, so we're just testing now, and do I get? Yes, you see, we now have an issue with the cockpit, right? And we can also see I've also glitched something in there at some point and not realized it was there. So if you've done that on your own build, you need to remove that too. So we're just going to go in and get that cockpit actually functional and usable. So we can see there's yeah, I left a rock hopper stuck in there. So you can see that the faux cockpit is not working for our design right now, which is really frustrating because I love that sleek look of it. But I'm now going to try and find a replacement, and I think we end up glitching one of these back by half a hab. But then we end up with an issue where our little cargo connection piece on the top there gets in the way. And I realize the logic of this now. You see how that's actually just rotated to that now. So we're never going to be able to place anything in that position effectively, which is very frustrating because that's considered basically the connection section there. And for some reason, I don't realize that whilst trying to place this. Like, it's pretty obvious what's happening, but it's obvious to me now anyway. But yeah, it's kind of frustrating because I do want that piece there because it looks good. So I think instead we end up glitching something else into that position. We use the front of like you see there's like two versions of this engine cover. There's like the shorter version that's a hab long, and then there's this longer version that's 2 habs long. And we end up using the shorter version and then placing some pieces behind that to make our slightly longer cockpit design. I absolutely love the shape of this ship, by the way. Not my, well, I like my personal one, but I mean the real ship is just gorgeous. I think that, again, I've said this before in my other Naboo builds, that they just absolutely nailed the designs of these ships. I think they are the most beautiful ships, most beautiful ships in Star Wars, really. There's other ships that are iconic, but I think the beauty factor of these is just above anything else, really. So now you see I'm having that same struggle again of getting into the cockpit. So we need to get rid of those kind of side pieces, annoyingly. I think they look really good, but they just do not work with this design. And so yeah, we have to get rid of those and effectively leave a hole in the top. But that first decoration piece that is necessary, as I said before, which is I use a sofa to do it, and then recolor it to the same color as the ship. It is 100% necessary. So yeah, don't forget to add that when you get to the final stage of the ship. I'm just now looking at. Sadly, the cockpit is not fitting still. We can't get into our real cockpit yet. So yeah, I'm going to use this slightly stubbier version to make the cockpit, I think. But I will push that forward by half a hab, I believe. Or I hope I do. I don't like how that's looking right now, so I really hope I do replace this. I think I do. Yeah, we're going to, it looks like we're going to glitch it forward by half a hab now. And the reason I just swapped that over then was because I couldn't, the rock hopper only works on one side, and it's this from the front of the ship, the left side, or from the rear of the ship, the right side. And that's the only side that allows you to do these half steps with it. And again, I've got that same problem with the docking piece there. It's in the way, and I can't place what I want to place down, which is very frustrating, but I don't have much of an option, really. So I think instead I do actually go ahead with this design, which is gives like a tapered look. Oh, wait, hold on. What's going on? Oh, yeah, that was also connected to that docking ring. That docking ring is very frustrating. And there we go. I've just realized why none of my pieces are being able to be placed there. It is partially a problem because they only rotate when you're using a hab and not anything else. So it's not obvious what the issue is usually. And yeah, so now we're going to taper down the cockpit at the back, I think. We might not go with this design fully because I'm personally not loving that just yet. I think it's too bulbous at the front, and I think we could probably sleek that down a bit. So now we're just trying to get rid of that area there that you see is quite ugly and has that dark texture on the front. And what we do, so we can access our cockpit now, which is one of the most important things. But make sure to not go ahead and fly this because you won't be able to get out right now unless you go into your decoration menu afterwards and place down a seat outside. That is the solution if you have gone and got yourself stuck in there. And so we're now testing out a couple of things here that we're using the swept casing to kind of hide that hole that we have. Sorry about that sniff. I'm still recovering from that cold that I had a couple of weeks ago. So that piece basically wouldn't let us get in there, annoyingly. So I'm going to now try. What am I doing? I think I'm going to try and use another piece potentially. Yeah. Oh yes, we're just sort of experimenting with a couple of pieces first, just to see how they work. I can't remember if this is the final piece. Sorry about that. As I say, I built this a couple of days ago. No, that's not the final piece because we can't get in there. So this is one of the hardest parts of the ship, really, is kind of working out things like this. So yeah, hardest part of designing a ship, sorry, is working out how to solve these kind of problems. Because you have to really balance this aesthetically to functionality, and it's definitely one of the harder things to do. I think that piece actually does let us sit in there. So we try and recolor that piece a little bit, but it's not perfect. But the when you add the sofa piece, it does kind of fix up the issue. And you see now we can get in our cockpit, and now I've just got myself stuck in there, which I haven't realized yet. So I'm just taking a little flight of the ship and having a look at it from the outside. As I say, please watch this next section that's coming up in maybe a minute. Or actually, no, it's less than that. It's in 10 seconds. So I'll see you in the decoration stage, and I hope you enjoy your ship when it's finally complete. So I want to go over a couple of the features that I added with the decoration pieces. And annoyingly, I recorded it, but the video didn't actually record. Typical problem. Yeah, just for some reason it said it was recording and it didn't record, so fun. And so the first feature that's really, really, really important is this bench. So when you're inside the cockpit and you hop out, you get stuck inside here. So you can't do anything, right? And if you get into this position, you can actually just place a bench using the decoration system, or literally any seat. Just stick it there, and then get on it with your get on seat button. Mine's E for PC anyway. I don't know what it is for controller. And then you just simply get off it again, and it'll spawn you instead in this space here. And then in this space, you can just fly out like normal. So that's the main functional thing that I did. So everything else is just aesthetic, and you can absolutely go with just what I did with the just normal Corvette pieces, but I always take things like the extra step. So what I did was I created a kind of curve going down and tried to make that point really exaggerated and pointy, much like the original ship. I used storage panels here. Annoyingly, they aren't the same color, and there is no way to get them the same color. Technically, these are actually the same color. I used the color glitch that lets you basically set your entire ship to the same color, and you can do it with these, and these obviously have a different color palette to your Corvette palette. So you're able to then in your Corvette builder mode go and edit one of these with the color picker with G on keyboard. I don't know what it is on console again, and that will basically then you click apply to the entire ship, and it will do exactly that. It'll apply that color to everything on the ship. So it's really better to do that first before you start chroming things out, but I didn't. So you can then go ahead and chrome everything. As for the actual point itself, it's using, I think they're like some kind of fuel storage container or something like that. I think that's what they're called. They are the kind of golden containers. I've used them before in my builds, and the way that I managed to place these so correctly is I actually used a new technique for me, which is going to the base at one of my bases, and you can basically, as long as you've landed in your base area where you can normally build in your base, you can use the build menu and the build camera as well to then edit your Corvette. And with this build camera, it acts very much like this photo mode camera, and you can line yourself up with the angle that you need, the exact angle that you need. You see, I can get myself pretty accurate, and then you just build these out on top of each other. And it's a bit of trial and error, and you want to make them the same length, obviously, so it can be difficult to get it exactly right, but you'll eventually get there. Same technique with this long rear one. I always advise doing more than what you want. So build these 4 out first, and then do a bunch of these, and then you can shorten it down to the exact length that you want. And the final feature, in terms of decoration pieces, is the kind of R2 unit. And this is just made with like a wheel piece. I'm sure you recognize it from the menu. And then it's an inverted pan, so you can see it has the handles. And I've just flipped it upside down, or a wok, maybe it's probably called a wok. And then finally I've added, well, not finally, I've added these plate pieces, and those kind of represent the eye and the sensors. And then this is finally, I've added decals on the top, and that's just replicating the kind of blue features on R2-D2. You can have those any color you want. You know, it doesn't have to be R2. I just like it being R2 because it kind of makes sense, and that's the popular ship. But yeah, that's all the features really. I just tried to make sure that everything looked nice and smooth and accurate to the original ship. Hopefully you were able to place these yourself. These storage panels, just back to them quickly. This one's placed flat on the surface, and then they added like a tiny little angle to this one. Same angle on this one, and then I added a sharper angle on that final one. And then I just added 2 pieces either side, and that's kind of what makes that shape. And yeah, that's the main. I think that's all I need to tell you really. So good luck. If you're considering building this stage, you should be kind of able to do this yourself. If you're trying to take this on for the first time, I would suggest just making the Corvette and just using the Corvette builder itself and just having that version. It's still a beautiful version, I think, and there's nothing wrong with it. Also, you can actually take that to the anomaly, and no one's going to hate you for taking it there. But I've had bad experiences of people saying, you know, don't come to the anomaly with decoration pieces stuck to your ship. I don't know if that's actually an effect that's going to do anything, but yeah, it's not a good idea. Yeah, as I say, the only thing that you really definitely need is this bench. So yeah, that's the ship. Enjoy. I hope it goes well. I hope your build goes well. Please consider subscribing. My videos have kind of been struggling recently. I'm not sure why. Something to do with the algorithm, probably. But yeah, they're not getting the reach that if you have seen it to this point, then please just, you know, subscribe and share it, and make sure that people in the community know that these exist. Anyway, thank you very much, and enjoy your new ship.